guys, this is Matt and Jeremy. The Busted Couch, and we're here to talk about A Good Day to Die Hard.
It was not a good day to die hard.
It wasn't at all.
It was a really shitty day to die hard.
So you know how in the other Die Hard movies, he gets hurt and he usually has some sort of impediment during the movie? Yeah.
No, you really can't be hurt.
You'd think that he would have the Murtaugh syndrome and just be like, I'm too old for this shit in this movie, but no, he's just, he flips over in a truck a few times, just gets out, starts running.
Yep, not even a scratch.
No,
absolutely nothing. And like literally, this truck flipped at least 7 or 8 times.
And it's like, oh, there's a window. Let's throw John McClane through the window.
Yeah, let's have him jump out of a building several stories up in the air. And you know what? We should do it again. Just once isn't enough.
And then more glass.
Mm-hmm. Yep, jump through glass, fall through glass, roll over glass. It doesn't cut you.
No.
He's immune to it by now.
Anyway, the movie was shit. Like, I was, entertained, but it's not worth going to see.
No. Also, for a 90-minute movie, it felt long.
Yeah.
Like, it felt probably close to an hour longer than that. It felt longer than the other Die Hards, and they're like over a half hour longer than this one. Yeah. It's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie. Don't go see it. Don't pay to see this movie. Not even if you're like a Die Hard fan.
Because it's not really a Die Hard.
No, it's not.
In fact, it's worse if you're a Die Hard fan.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into spoilers. Let's talk about the movie in depth. We'll go into it with a blank screen with gunshots going off.
Yep. For no reason. This is because then it just starts showing a news thing, because they couldn't really figure out a good way to actually introduce the story. So we're like, here are people on the news talking about these people and explaining who they are and what's going on. But there's gunshots and a black screen for like the first 30 seconds of the movie.
Which doesn't make any sense. It's just there.
Stylish.
Cut to a scene in a prison with a guy talking to another guy. The guy playing chess with himself. Looked like a bad guy. The other guy, some either business guy or politician.
And then he's gonna be going to trial for his crimes, and that's when the CIA jumps into action. And there's lots of really badly shot shots of people walking and talking and being dramatic, and it's spinning around, and it's
shaking like fucking hell.
Yeah, the way this movie's directed makes a Michael Bay movie look genius. It is not good at all. It's some of the worst direction I've seen.
John McClane knows where his son is, and he's in Russia, and he thinks he's in trouble. He's been going on trial, so John McClane makes an excuse to go to Russia and see his son, and
to try and get him to not go to Russian prison for murder.
Yeah, and pretty much useless scene with daughter. Daughter doesn't need to be in the movie.
John McClane doesn't need to be
in the movie. Doesn't need to be in the movie. Pretty much the Die Hard name is just used to get people to go see this movie.
Yeah, even like John McClane is not John McClane like the character you know. He's a guy played by Bruce Willis named John McClane. He's a New York cop, but he's not John McClane.
He constantly says he's on vacation, but this wasn't really that.
Yeah, he keeps bringing that up. He's like angry at the guys for like ruining his vacation. He's like shooting the bad guys. That's my vacation.
And it's clear.
No, it's not. You thought your son was going to die, so you were coming to try and help him.
And also, they clearly put themselves in that situation. It's not like the trouble was brought to him, like in all the other Die Hard movies, where he's just minding his own business and then just falls into this thing. But
John McClane gets to Russia and has an insane cab driver who sings badly, and then doesn't charge him for taking the cab because he listened to him singing when he actually had no choice.
Another useless scene.
And then he gets to the courthouse and sees his son going in. Some people attack the courthouse because they want to capture the guy. Because apparently, the two guys in the scene at the start, the guy who's in prison who's playing chess, has a file that incriminates his old business partner, who's the other guy who's about to become security chief or some big high up government thing.
Yeah.
And so he really wants to get that file. However, the guy was it not in his trial? Was he not going to be like basically sentenced to death if it went through?
He would have been lucky to get life.
Yeah. So couldn't he have just let that happen, and then that guy would die, and then no one would know about the file other than him, and he'd be fine? Why did he decide?
I don't know why there had to be an explosion.
No.
And everything, they could have just let him die.
So basically, there's super security on this courthouse. But then they managed to sneak in these 3 BMWs and blow them up. And afterwards, there are no cops or anyone anywhere near it. They run in like with guns and everything. There's like a dozen guys running into the courthouse. No one's around. The 2 people who were on trial, they just walk out and they're like handcuffed and everything. No one seems to notice or be around. I don't know where all the people who were outside are. I don't know. They ran somewhere else as soon as the bomb went off.
Yeah, they just all got scared and ran away.
There was a huge crowd of like protesters holding giant like pictures of a fist up in the air for some. That's what they do.
I guess
they're all gone now as soon as the bomb goes off.
There's a complete absence of proper people.
Yeah, there's a complete absence of shots that actually establish the location and where people are and everything, because you don't like after they escape, it's like, is this even the same side of the building? You can't tell. There's no way to tell. Where did those people go? You can't tell.
John sees his kid, and then they have like a dialogue for a couple minutes, and then they see them, and then their car chase starts, and there's a big giant armored badass vehicle chasing some sort of like delivery van or something.
Yeah, like kind of like a cube van, but a little smaller.
Yeah. And
then John McClane gets in this
flatbed.
Yeah, this flatbed truck and starts chasing. So it's a 3-way chase. And actually, this could have been pretty cool. Like, what they have is pretty neat, because they're just like going through traffic and like smashing into cars. Cars are swerving all over the place, crashing into walls. Going.
Yep.
Like, there's multiple levels. They're driving on different levels, and then one guy like smashes a car down here that John McClane has to swerve around.
And that would have all been great
if it was shot in a way where you could tell what the hell was happening.
Yeah.
It isn't. It is.
It's like, okay,
so horribly.
It's like when we complained about the fights in Taken and how it just like was a flash here and a flash there of like all these like little moves and stuff like that.
This is worse.
This is worse
because the camera is like, okay, so here's the action. We're gonna film it like this.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have like 2 or 3 second cuts constantly. That's the style I want. It's really shitty. That's my vision as a director. I don't know what was going on. So anyway, so the chase goes on, and eventually they fire a rocket launcher at John McClane.
He hits the e-brake, spins the truck around, and misses.
Yeah, not just spins it around, but like spins it around more than a full 360 and kind of swerves, hits some cars, and then it flips end over end, over end, over end, over end.
Smash.
Yep, and like all the windows are gone, the windshield is completely gone out of it.
Remember how we said glass?
Yep, and then he basically just like is laying on the ground, like he got thrown from the vehicle. Apparently, he just gets up and is like, ugh.
Yeah, he just rolls out of the vehicle and he's like, man, I'm a little tired.
Yep, like not a single cut, not a scrape, nothing. Walks out into traffic, tries to like stop vehicles that are going like at least 40 or 50. They're just like swerving around, and then finally one guy just smashes into him. He goes like flying backwards, rolls down, completely fine. Gets up, punches the guy out, takes his truck, and starts chasing them again. Up until that point, it could have been kind of a cool car chase, but then it just gets stupid. Because they're basically they're on a lower major freeway, and he's on a bridge going over it, and he sees this, so he stops, backs up, and like drives off. And apparently luckily, because he only has like 5 feet of room to speed up before going over the edge.
It's just like glass.
Yeah, it's like glass and plastic that they use to make the side.
And then there's conveniently one of those car trucks.
Car carriers.
Yeah, car carriers.
And he drives over it.
And then he
drives over, like a couple semis.
And then into like some sort of dump truck that has gravel in it, and it bursts open, and he drives
goes
down there.
And then drives over like 5 more cars.
And then out into the middle of traffic, and then...
He's not in like a big truck. He's in like...
It's like a Jeep.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Like
a really small Hummer kind of vehicle. Yeah. And so, the newer Hummers and these vehicles aren't really all that great.
They're not that big.
Yeah, and so he's up against this armored truck that has been driving through other vehicles without slowing down or being affected at all.
Oh yeah, it's like slamming things everywhere.
Yeah,
it's driving
it's like
through
a tank.
cement.
Yeah. And
somehow one of the first things it smashes through that like the statue, and it like takes out like 4 feet of cement that's like at least waist high and like 5 feet deep. It's like no problem, boom.
Yep. But John McClane, because he's driving this vehicle, just smashing into this vehicle, and somehow
like that guy would just be like, crushed you in. There you go.
Yeah.
Going.
Yeah. But no.
No. He takes him out.
Yeah, it takes him out and makes him flip his car, and then slams it through like a big giant cement cylinder on the back of this other truck.
And of course, when he causes that guy to crash, it also makes John crash again. But
he's fine.
He's fine.
It's okay.
Then when he gets up, he goes and looks over like the bridge that they crashed off of, and like the main bad guy in the giant truck survived. And like some cops are showing up, and so he has a machine gun and he starts like shooting all the cops. And then John McClane, with no weapon or anything,
and no cover like, really.
Hey,
look at me!
So the guy turns and starts shooting at him, and he's like, "Oh, better duck," because he's shooting at me with an automatic weapon.
And all the bullets just magically hit the.
Yeah, they just because he's John McClane, they can't hit him.
Yeah, they don't hit.
And like, there's no reason for him to have turned and gotten that guy's attention other than that he wanted to be shot at.
So.
And that's when his son picks him up.
Mm-hmm. And then
they drive to a safe house, and this is when he finds out that his son is actually not just some person who's a murderer in Russia. He's actually working for the CIA, and this whole thing was a plan to extract the other guy. So his plan was he had to get himself in a position where he was arrested for murder and would be tried on the exact same day as this big political guy. Then say, you know what, wink, I will testify that that guy told me to murder that guy that I murdered. What do you say? So this is his plan. And then question mark, because they weren't expecting, to escape when bombs went off. But question mark, now he's extracted that guy and they're flying off to, I guess the States or whatever.
And like, plan A couldn't work because John McClane
John McClane picked up the timing by stopping that car for a couple seconds. So he was on a very tight schedule that basically meant he had to leave at the time when he left when the bomb went off in order to be on time for this schedule.
And during all this,
But this basically would have meant that in the middle of like the trial,
they would have had to get up and walk
He would have just got up and was like, I got to take a break. Can I just take the other guy on trial? We're going to go outside. Yeah. We'll be back.
Gotta smoke. So they get back to this the other safe house, which,
Where apparently the guy who's John McClane Jr.'s partner is.
Yeah, we didn't develop any cares. No. We gave $0.
Basically, this guy was like talking. He like told John McClane to shut up a couple times, and was like trying to get the guy to tell them, we need that file. Where's the file? And then the guy's like, "Oh, I have to get my daughter out of the country." He's like, "Fine, great, we'll do that. Where's the file?"
Also great acting.
And then he gets shot in the head. No idea how they knew where he was at all, but all these guys like jump in, and they're like several stories up, like at least the second or third story.
Yeah, and there's like 20 or 30 guys.
Yeah, there's guys just like jumping in.
And John McClane just picks up a machine gun and covers them while they get back.
Yeah, it's like on a bipod, he's just like holding the bipod in one hand, just firing and there's like no kickback. He's just like, yep, firing this full machine gun.
It's like, I used to be a fireman. And these guys, they just mindlessly keep running in front of John McClane's
It's basically like 20 guys in a line just keep running into the room. Yeah. And just as they run into the doorway, he shoots them. And then more guys keep coming. And then more, and then more.
It's like if you played a video game that had really bad AI. Yeah. Like, that's what this is. Yeah, McClane's son just blows up the place on the outside, and all these guys go flying everywhere. And then they have like this magic square bomb thing, and they escape out a hole in the wall, and then they get downstairs and
and have instantly lost all those people.
Yeah,
they literally go downstairs to the ground at that same building,
and no one's following them.
It seemed like, as far as what we could tell from the camera work, it seemed like it's just at the base of that building,
and they could have
they're completely safe.
They could have at least made this like a chase scene. Like, they could have made it a better movie. Yeah, like
have them run and like get in a car and then have that little conversation. So those are just like, get down the street, like, well, we're good now. And all of the really, really horrible, cliched, estranged father and son stuff that goes on.
And awkward moments for the audience, not for them.
This leads to the best of them, which is they then get to the hotel where they're going to meet up with the guy's daughter. And there's a scene where the guy and John McClane are hiding behind like this truck while his son goes off to do something. And they talk about their kids, and John McClane's doing the thing. He's like, where he's talking about, yeah, man, I was just working all the time because I was a cop. I thought it was the good thing to do, but and it just so happens that his son's come back. You get like the close up of him, like literally, like just around the corner, listening to all this. It's like, my dad did care, single tear. So then they get in. Actually, this is my favorite scene in the movie. Is they're like talking about how to sneak into the hotel, and like his son's trying to run through with the guy. He's like, well, where is it? It's like, what floor is it on? How do we get there?
The security cameras,
guards. Security cameras. He's like, I've been in prison for 5 years. They might have changed everything. I'm not really sure. And McClane just like walks up to a bus boy and is like, here's some money. Give me your card. And then he gets his swipe card. And he's like,
problem solved.
There you go. That was the best scene in the movie.
Yeah. So there was nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, they get up there, and then his daughter's there, and they reunite, and it's all happy.
It's really obvious.
Yep. And then John McClane's sense goes off, and he's like goes to the daughter's like, how did you get here so fast? And of course, the one thing is that during the chase, there was apparently this big like ring road around Moscow or something like that.
The Gardner or something?
That had been shut down and locked down.
Well, they also hinted at that one place in the cab at the start of the movie.
Yeah,
it's always slow.
It's always slow, and B, it was shut down, and that was one of the reasons that Plan A for the extraction didn't work.
Yeah.
And of course, she, is in on the whole thing, but she actually just mentions that specific road. She mentions the most, likely thing to make her look suspicious.
Yeah, she could have just been like, oh, I took some back streets, whatever. She could have just made some other bullshit up. Mm-hmm. But she lives in Russia, she's been there for a long time, she knows these things.
I was having lunch 2 blocks over.
Yeah, could have done that. But no, they make her...
Hell, she was only talking to John McClane, she could have just been like, I live, like, 10-minute walk from here.
Ah. But no, she's fucking... Who wrote this? Well, who wrote it, do you know?
Skip Woods.
Skip! Fuck you. Your stupid writing fucking sucks. You dick.
So then the bad guy shows up. John McClane's like, I'm not putting down my gun. So then the daughter takes her father hostage, and then they're like, okay, we'll put our guns down now. And then they like tie them up. But luckily, his son had his gun knife in his boot, and he pulls it out, and then John McClane starts laughing for no reason while the bad guy dances. And while this is happening, it allows John McClane Jr. to cut his bonds and start shooting people.
There's one thing here, though. Since when did they free John McClane's bonds? Because he just got up and starts like fighting. But
I assume he just uses John McClane Terminator strength to just tear
Terminator strength. Yeah.
They dive over a bar, shoot out all the glass over top of everyone else, because glass hurts the bad guys. Not them, but the bad guys. All the bad guys and old guy from prison end up in a helicopter, and then it starts shooting at them. Like, it's basically strafing the building that they're in. They run faster than it can shoot and follow them. It's like, really? It can't. This helicopter cannot turn fast enough, because they got to run like 40 or 50 feet through this room. They do it just fine. They dive through a window
and
fall 2 or 3 stories onto some scaffolding, fall through the scaffolding.
Down a fun slide from a playground. Yeah,
it's one of those like garbage chutes at construction. But the thing is, like, when it shows them sliding down it, they're clearly like sliding down something that's at an angle.
And it's
when it actually shows
it's solid.
It's straight down.
Yeah.
And they're clearly not just falling down a tube. They're sliding down an angled thing. Like at one point, it actually just breaks completely apart, and they fall out of the tube and just fall the rest of the way. At which point, the gunship could have just like laced the ground. It's just like, nope, we're good here. Let's go. So it leaves, and this gives them another heart-to-heart scene. John McClane Jr. got like a piece of rebar, like this thick, stuck it into his abdomen. He wants his dad to pull it out, and his dad's like, oh, you're not gonna cry, are you? You're gonna cry. And then they have that because apparently that was a scene they thought was good. And they just pull it out, and he's like, yeah, I'm all good.
Yeah, let's go.
Really? You have a hole the size of a finger in you? That's not bleeding? No? You're good? And you're going to show no signs of this injury through the rest of the movie?
No wincing, nothing? Yeah.
Scene change, because they have to drive to Chernobyl. Because apparently Chernobyl was actually a big plan to steal...
Uranium.
Yeah, uranium.
Weapons grade stuff.
They were, I don't know, siphoning weapons grade uranium out of the reactor or
Somehow.
something. And then it's really stupid. But apparently they were using their magic powers to steal uranium out of the reactor and turn into weapons grade uranium and then sell it off. But they got greedy with their magic and took too much or too little or did it wrong or whatever. And that's what caused Chernobyl's meltdown, trying to steal weapons grade uranium.
Good job.
And this is what's in the file. Is information that guy who's about to be elected to the whatever used to be his business partner, but now this guy is repentant and that guy isn't, and so they need to get this file so they can go like, that guy's a dick, look. So they're driving to Chernobyl. Meanwhile, at Chernobyl, the other people, they're in like their radiation suits and everything, going into the vault, which makes no sense because he had to get this thing wrapped in paper out of the restaurant where he first dated his wife or something, which turns out to be a magic, ridiculous, crazy key with like multiple, like it's like some robot key from the future.
Terminators.
Yes, because this is clearly the type of technology that they would have used in, you know, the 70s and 80s in Russia. But anyway, they open his magic vault, but the radiation's really high in there. That's a problem, because this room has been sealed, which has allowed it to store and gain extra radiation over the years.
It pools there.
It just pools in this closed room.
And like swirls around.
Because that's what...
radiation tornado going on there.
Thing, but it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They
Because
got magic gas.
Yeah, they got a tanker full of that, you know, that gas that they spray that removes radiation.
Yeah, because that's a thing that they use, you know.
And they just hose the room down with it. The radiation levels just, pff, they're gone. This is when the dad gets a gun and shoots who had been the main bad guy of his rival in the head. Because surprise, dun dun dun, this was his plan all along, and his daughter was in on it.
What a twist!
Because this vault, there was never a file. The vault is actually full of a whole bunch of weapons grade uranium, which he's now gonna sell, make lots of cash. And then John McClane and son show up and kill a bunch of people and ruin his plan. But let's for a minute talk about what the fuck his plan was. So, step one, I don't know. Step two, spread a rumor for years that you have repented and you have this file that could implicate your old business partner who you no longer like just because you are now sad about what you did, but you're not actually.
It's like the ultimate in being butthurt. Step
three, get sent to prison and are probably going to be executed because of this file. Refuse to give it to him. Step four, assume that that guy will then break you out of prison to get the file.
He didn't need to.
Which you didn't need to do. And then he will lead you there when you can kill him and his people and get all of your plutonium back.
What is this?
Now, I know that that's a thing with Die Hard movies, is that it normally ends up, surprise, it was actually an elaborate ruse because really it was all about money. But this
is all coincidental, luck bullshit.
Yeah, this just, like, the only reason things happen this way is because they have to for the plot to work. But anyway, John McClane and son show up, and they
have him another heart-to-heart.
Yep. And they capture the guy.
Yeah.
Which is a great scene because he's all, come on, Jack, you know me. And he like looks at his dad, he's like, I know him better. And then John McClane's like, here you go, son, have an old man to beat. And he's like, headbutt! But then the guy's daughter shows up with a random, like, super jacked, shirtless guy who has like a CCCP tattoo across his back. Like, basically he looks like the communist version of that huge Nazi that Indiana Jones fought in Raiders by the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he just, like, gets taken out by a grenade pretty much as soon as he shows up. He's like, why did you have that guy? Why was he shirtless the whole time?
This guy got built up like he was some sort of big badass.
Because, like, there's, like, no one else is shirtless. It's night. It's cold. Everyone else is wearing, like, not only clothes, they're wearing, like, jackets and everything. Before they were wearing full radiation suits. This guy's, like...
And this guy's constantly sweating.
Yeah.
Like, he's just shiny.
He just oiled himself. He's just like, baby oil. I'm getting ready to rob Chernobyl. So that happens. And then they split up. And John McClane Sr. goes after the daughter in a helicopter. And John McClane Jr. goes after, like, the father guy who went up to the roof. Basically, John McClane Jr. gets cornered on the roof.
After getting shot.
Yeah. Which doesn't seem to, like, other than making him, like, basically fall down and take cover, it didn't hurt him in any way. But that's this movie.
Terminators.
Then John McClane Sr. is in the plane, which has a completely bulletproof door to the cockpit that's completely impossible for him to open for some reason. So he's stuck just back in the cargo hold, and they're about to shoot his son. So he chains the truck that's in there, because the only thing in this cargo hold is a big truck, just because that's the only thing that will allow this next action set piece to happen. So he, like, chains it to the plane, and then, like, backs it out so that the helicopter is, like, swerving and, like, flailing, and it can't shoot his son. And then he ends up falling out the door, and he's, like, hanging off of it. And ends up, basically, it spins around and, like, chucks him through a window into a building. He, like, rolls. He's fine. Because it's this movie.
Yeah, glass.
And then they manage to slam the truck into something and free it.
Mm-hmm.
But before this happens, the son has a chance to, like, run at the guy and tackle him.
As a propeller is taking
and then they, like,
the roof.
just chucks him off of the building, and they try to do the whole slow motion, like, Hans Gruber death shot. And it doesn't really work because no one gives a shit about this guy because he was a really shitty villain. And then he falls into the back propeller of the helicopter and gets gibbed.
Daughter gets angry.
Yep.
And for some reason this is a different helicopter, by the way. This isn't the same thing. And after all this happens, like, I don't know whether she just held down the trigger button or whatever, but then she goes to try to shoot them when they're in the room together.
Yeah, like honestly, as far as how much shooting, it was basically like, start strafing towards the sun. Yeah. Oh shit, John McClane fell at the back, and then it seems like they stopped firing.
Yeah.
But those, like, 4 seconds...
Out of bullets.
Completely out of bullets. Because she's trying to shoot them and can't, so then she's like, I'm just gonna ram them.
I got nothing to live for, kamikaze! And then...
there's, like, super slow motion as she's ramming the building. They're both jumping out of the building. Yeah. Which was a nice thing, because as they're jumping out, the sun's like, ugh!
And John McClane's just like, fuck you! But it was great because daughter fell. She flies the helicopter into the building, and it just...
Even if they hadn't jumped out, she didn't even go into the building.
No, she just hit the side of the building.
Hits the side, and then the helicopter falls down and blows up. But yeah, they like jump out of the window, like through a window again, fall through more glass into a pool. That's the end.
That's it. Then they go home and more shaky camera shit.
Yep. And the
daughter
daughter's waiting for them, and then they all walk off, and you get a freeze frame of the 3 McClanes together. I thought at least at that end, maybe like they'd be walking, and then they'd show, like, you know, his wife or something there at least, but no.
So that's the movie.
Yeah, it's a bunch of shaky cam and invincible heroes and huge plot holes.
Yeah, at no point do you think that there's ever going to be really a problem. Like for the heroes.
Yeah, because the first 3 things that should injure them, he's completely fine. Also, on Rotten Tomatoes currently, this is rated 1% higher than Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters.
Hansel and Gretel is the best movie we've seen this year.
Yeah, Hansel and Gretel was like a masterpiece compared to this piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, don't watch it. Don't bother. So anyway, that's our opinion. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let us know in the comments down below if you've watched the movie, if you agree or disagree. Please like and subscribe. I'm Matt, this is Jerva, Busted Couch. See you next time.